Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most powerful, and let's be honest, sometimes one of the most confusing tools in the entire IT world, the ServiceNow Configuration Management Database, or CMDB. Now, it doesn't matter if you're building one from scratch or trying to fix one that's gone off the rails, this explainer is going to give you the roadmap. We're going to turn that CMDB from just another database into the actual digital heartbeat of your whole organization. Okay, I absolutely love this analogy because it is just so true. Just imagine trying to build a city with no blueprint, no map, nothing. That is exactly what happens when you dive into a CMDB project without a crystal clear plan. You end up collecting a mountain of data, but none of it connects. It doesn't lead anywhere useful, and in the end, nobody can find a thing. Seriously, getting this foundation right from the start is, well, it's everything. So what is a CMDB really? Well, at its core, it's meant to be the single source of truth for your entire technology world. And I'm not just talking about a list of servers and laptops, no way. Think of it as a dynamic, living map of how everything is connected, your apps, your infrastructure, and most importantly, the business services that they all support. And this is so critical because it finally breaks down those data silos and gives everyone one single trusted picture to look at. And that brings us right into part one, build with purpose. Now, through this whole explainer, we're going to use a crawl, walk, run, fly model. And this right here is the crawl stage. It is all about getting that foundation absolutely solid before you even think about doing anything more complicated. This is it. This is the first and maybe the most important question every single team faces. The temptation, and trust me, I've seen it 100 times, is to just throw everything you can find into it, thinking, hey, more data is there, right? But that is a trap. All it does is lead to a cluttered, messy, and totally untrustworthy CMDB. So how do you decide what makes the cut? Here is a super simple but incredibly effective tool to help you decide: the traffic light framework. So green is your green light, obviously. These are the non-negotiables: your core servers, your network gear, your core applications. They just have to be in there. Yellow means you need to slow down and think. This is for data that might be useful, but you need a solid business case for it. You have to ask yourself, if we add this, what specific process does it help? And if you don't have a great answer, well then, it's a red light. Don't include it. Simple as that. And here's a really crucial point for this whole stage. Your first goal is to build a minimum viable product, an MVP. This is not about capturing every last piece of data from day one. It's about creating a small, super accurate, and totally trusted set of data. Because once people in your organization trust the data, you've earned the right to grow it. Always remember, the goal is to be useful, not perfect. Okay, so you've built your solid foundation. Now it's time to get up and start walking. So let's move into part two, govern with control. This is where we get into the real practitioner skills you need to keep your CMDB clean, healthy, and reliable for the long haul. Let me be blunt. A CMDB with no clear ownership is guaranteed to fail, period. And a Rossi chart like this is the perfect way to solve that problem. You've got to have someone who is accountable. That's your process owner, the person with the final say. You need people who are responsible, the folks who do the actual work, your data stewards and admins. Then you've got people you consult for their expertise. And finally, people you just keep informed. Getting this clarity is absolutely non-negotiable for good governance. You know, every single piece of data in your CMDB, we call them configuration items or CIs, has its own life story. It doesn't just pop into existence. It starts with a plan where you define what you need. Then it gets built with all its data and relationships. It enters a run state where it's live in your environment. After that, you optimize it with audits and health checks. And finally, when it's no longer needed, it has to be properly retired. If you skip that last step, you'll end up with a digital graveyard of stale, useless data. So how can you tell if your data is actually any good? It's easy. Just remember the 3 C's. First is completeness. Are all the important fields actually filled out? Next is correctness. Do you have a bunch of duplicates or data that's months out of date? And finally, compliance. Is the data following the standards and rules that you set up? These 3 C's are basically your health dashboard for the entire CMDB. All right, now we're ready for the run stage. You've got this well-governed, healthy CMDB. So what? What's the point? Well, part 3 is all about taking that amazing asset and using it to drive real, tangible business value. This is where the big payoff really starts to happen. The best way to think about your CMDB is as the engine that powers all of your digital operations. I mean, it drives everything. With accurate data, your ISSM team can instantly see the risk of making a change. Your ITL team can see an alert and trace it all the way up to the business service it's affecting. And your SecOps team, they can immediately identify every single asset that's vulnerable to a new threat. This kind of connectivity is an absolute game changer. And this right here is your command center for it all, the CMDB workspace. Now, this is way more than just a pretty dashboard. It's a truly interactive control panel. From here, you can watch those 3 C's of data health, you can visualize incredibly complex relationships, and manage all your governance tasks in one spot. It really brings all those concepts we've been talking about to life. Let's be real. In today's world, data about your tech environment is coming from everywhere. The cloud, different discovery tools, you name it. So how do you keep it from turning into a giant mess of duplicate records? That's exactly where things like CMDB 360 and the identification and reconciliation engines step in. You can think of them as the traffic cop for your data, making sure that no matter how many sources you have, you always end up with one single authoritative record for everything. Okay, time to look ahead. We've crawled, walked, and run. Now it's time to fly. Let's get into part 4, automate the future. This is where we start moving beyond doing things manually and step into the incredible world of AI-powered intelligence. I want you to just pause and think about this for a second. What if all that constant, massive effort of data stewardship, of cleaning things up, making sure they're correct, all that manual work, what if it could just be automated? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. That's the future we're building right now. The big idea here is that we can now take the deep expertise of your best people and actually turn it into automated intelligence. Think about all those judgment calls, what we call the gray matter work. For instance, a new server pops up. Instead of a human analyst having to figure everything out, an agentic workflow can automatically look at it, see what it is, and correctly assign it to the right team and the right business service. The AI literally learns from how your experts do their job and then does it for them at scale. And this brings us full circle, right back to that map analogy we started with. The ultimate vision, the real end game for the CMDB, isn't just to have a database of your stuff. It's to have a living, breathing, fully connected digital map of your entire business, linking the people to the services they use to all the technology that makes it work. It's not just a map of what you have, it's a map of how your business actually delivers value. And that is a seriously powerful idea.